Good morning, hello, welcome, it's good to see you. Now if you've watched any of the last one, the service for the grown-ups, you'll have seen loads of things kept going wrong. But this, nothing will ever go wrong in our meeting now, will it? This is just, yeah. Well, that's going wrong already, I can't even speak. Anyway, let's remember where we're up to, where we are in the story, the account of Joseph's life. We left Joseph last week in a story of rags to riches. Let's go over there. There we go. So we had the prison. Remember, here's the prison, and there's Joseph in prison. That's where we left him last week, in prison. And Pharaoh was up in his palace, in his throne room, because he's had some dreams. And he's telling the cupbearer all about his dreams. And he said, I just don't understand the dreams. The cupbearer goes, hands up. Oh no, sorry, I've just realised I know someone who can tell you what your dreams mean. Someone called Joseph. He's down in prison, down in the dungeon, down there. And so Pharaoh says, get me Joseph. So he goes and gets Joseph. And Joseph comes out, hello sir, bows down, because he's the king, hello sir. And the king says, oh, I've had some dreams. And you can work them out. And he said, well, no, God will tell me what the dreams are. But anyway, he tells him his dreams, and Joseph says, oh yeah, look, there's those fat cows that you dreamed about there. You go, that means there's going to be 7 fat years of lots and lots of food. But then your dream turned into 7 thin cows that ate up the fat cows, and that's going to be 7 lean years when there's not much food. There's going to be food. You're going to have to collect food in a food bank for a famine. And somebody needs to do that for you. And the Pharaoh said, it's you. I'm going to make you Prime Minister. Well, me? Yes, you. So he dresses him up in fine robes, and he gives him a chariot. There's the chariot. And horses. Let's show a horse under there. There we go. Horse, chariot, Joseph. Brilliant. And he goes around collecting food all over the place. Excuse me, Pharaoh. Collects food, loads and loads of food, chocolate mountains and pyramids and drinks and more food than you can shake a stick at. Oh, you can't quite see, can you? There we go. There we go. There's all the food that Joseph collected in his Pharaoh food bank. There we go. He's become the Prime Minister of Egypt, and he's collecting food, lots and lots of food. So we said last week, it's a story of from rags to riches, from someone who's got nothing. Suddenly someone is just like, he's just like, from prison to Prime Minister. It's just quite a shift, isn't it? What happens next? What happens next? Well, Cleo's going to read and tell us.
When Jacob learned there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you just keep looking at each other? He continued, I have heard there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, so that we may live and not die. Then 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy some grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So Israel's sons were among those who went to buy grain, for there was famine in the land of Canaan also.
Oh, thanks, Cleo. So there we go. Famine wasn't just in Egypt. Those thin years of, I'm pointing at the wrong camera. Those thin years weren't just in Egypt. The thin years of famine weren't just in Egypt. They were everywhere, all over the place. That means back home, with Jacob and the family where Joseph came from. Let's go to their life. There's Jacob, and there's Jacob, and he's looking a bit hungry, don't you think? He does. He looks hungry. There's his house. He's looking a bit hungry, and his brothers. Here come the brothers. Oh, all the brothers, just wheel them in. Oh, there we go. Oh, they're getting stuck on a pyramid just off camera. There you go. There are the brothers, and if any of them look like other characters in the story, like the baker or whatever, that's just pure coincidence. Honest. Or we haven't got enough Playmobil to go around, but there we go. Now, they look really, really hungry. They're really starving. That's because there's no food to go around. Look, here's the crops. There's Jacob in front of the fields where they're trying to grow food, and it's all gone dry. So they go to Tesco and Aldi, and the shelves, they're just empty. Everyone is really, really hungry. Now, you know when you're hungry, you say, I'm starving. Mum, Dad, give me something to eat. I'm starving. You're not starving. Really, probably not. I mean, these people go without food for weeks and weeks and months, and there's just nothing, and they really are starving to death. It is desperate. I mean, we get hungry, but they are starving. They're going to die. So, I mean, look at them. They're wasting away, poor things. What can they do? Well, then suddenly, a newspaper just sort of blows in on the wind. I'm taking a bit of liberty from the story here. So the newspaper blows in on the wind, and what does it say? Jacob takes it and has a look, and what does it say? It says, look where there's food. Oh, look at the pyramids. All that food in Egypt. They've got food in Egypt. Well, Genesis 41:1 says, when Jacob learned there was food and grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, why do you just keep looking at each other? Why do you keep just looking at each other like that? He continued, I've heard there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us, that we may live and not die. Now, there's something you've got to understand about this. There's Jacob, and here's the brothers. There was 10 of them, but there was 12 in the story. We knew there was 12. Well, one of them was Joseph, and he's gone to Egypt. But then there's someone else. Let me introduce you to, here he is. That there is Benjamin. Hello, Benjamin. If any of you are called Benjamin, there's your, what's called namesake. He looks a bit like you. But listen to this, verse 4. Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with him, with the others, because he was afraid that harm might come to him. So here's little Ben. Now, do you remember how Joseph was the favourite? He had a special rainbow coat. Remember, coat of many colours? There it is, from a few weeks ago. Well, look, I've chosen someone. Oh, sorry, Ben. I've chosen someone with a rainbow coat, just a bit the same, to remind you, he is Jacob's favourite. Jacob used to think Joseph was the favourite. Joseph's gone now, so Jacob has a new favourite. It's Ben. And he doesn't want Ben going to Egypt. Dad wants to keep Ben safe with him. So these guys go off to Egypt, but Dad has got to keep Ben safe with him. So there you go. You can go in your house. There we go, in the house. And these guys come all the way to... quick scene change. How do we do it so brilliantly? I don't know. They go to Egypt, and they go to buy food. And the man in charge is Joseph, their brother. Remember? Their brother, who they sold as a slave, and now he's the Prime Minister of Egypt. Their brother, they have no idea it's him. I mean, look how he's dressed. Remember, he used to look a bit like that, but he looks like this now. Well, that's their brother. They don't recognise him, but they know, Joseph does. Joseph recognises them. Oh, it's my brothers, but he doesn't say anything. They have no idea it's him. He's the Prime Minister. He's got all the food. Where's all the food gone? Oh, just chocolate will do. Okay. He's got all the food, so they bow down to him. They bow down to the Prime Minister. They bow down like that. Sir, we need food. Will you please give us food? Oh, we need food. We're so hungry. They bow down to Joseph. Joseph counts them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh dear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he knows, hang on, where's Ben? Where's my little brother? So he asks them, is this all of you from your family? And they say, oh no, there's one at home with Dad. Well, Joseph wants to see his brother. He loves his little brother. He'd love to see him again as well. So he plays a trick. He says, points his hand at them. Ah, you are spies, he says. You are spies. You come to rob us in Egypt. No, we're not. No. Then prove it. Go and get your little brother. But one of you must stay here. So he chose Simeon. He said, Simeon, you can go to prison. You can stay in prison there, and I'll keep you guard while the others go back home. Go back to get your little brother. So off they go, bowing all the way. So the brothers go home. Home, change of scenery. Yeah, in it comes. Crash. Jacob, Ben. I should video it in advance, really, shouldn't they? They come back, still bowing and screaming. Oh, we don't need bow down now. No, they just tell. Oh well, I can't move them. I don't have time. They say, Jacob's pleased to see them, and he says, "Oh, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where's Simeon? And they told him what had happened. How they'd said. The Prime Minister had said he wanted to see all the family, and he wanted to see their youngest little boy as well, little Ben. And Jacob's like, oh no, Joseph's dead, Simeon's trapped in Egypt and in jail, and now they want to take Benjamin too. Oh no, he was so upset. It was too much for Jacob. Oh, but hang on a second. Hang on a second. There's something that just happened then. There's something that happened, and I wonder if you missed it. I wonder if you missed it. The thing that just happened. Just stop for a minute. Oh, wrong video. Just stop for a minute and think what happened. Just rewind for a minute. There we are. They're all back in Egypt. Just remember where we were. Now, do you remember what happened then? Something happened then. Do you remember? Do you notice what happened? Something happened, which is a bit subtle. You might not have spotted it, but it's really important. Do you remember? There they are, bowing down to Joseph. And do you remember? Joseph once had a dream. He had a dream that one day his brothers would come, like corn, bowing down to that corn in the middle. Corn would come and bow down to one in the middle, that the brothers would do that. He had the dream of the moon and stars, that one day all the other stars would bow down to one star. And now look, they're bowing down to him. It's come true. Joseph's dream has come true. Now that's amazing, but that's a clue as to what's going on here. A big sort of flashing lights, clue, just watch this, look at this. As Joseph's dreams comes true, God's in charge. God gave Joseph that dream however many years ago. It's probably about 13, 14 years ago. It might have been more. God gave Joseph the dream. And look what Joseph has been through. But now his brothers come and bow down and ask him for food. The dream was one day his brothers will bow down. They'll need me. They need him now. They're bowing down now. We couldn't see it at the start. They couldn't see it. They were furious with him. That's why they pushed him off to Egypt as a slave. But they can see it now. And we can see God's in charge. God's in charge all along. And if it was for Joseph, perhaps he is for us as well. Perhaps. We'll find out more in our final week of Joseph next week. Let's pray. Father, thank you for the story of Joseph. And through it we can see that you are in charge. And I pray you'll help us see that and believe that for ourselves. And trust you as you're in charge. Amen. I've run out of time. I was going to do a song, but it's 12 o'clock. We need to go for coffee. So why don't you join us for coffee, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.